When the teams were confirmed at St James Park last weekend, it was a surprise to see Diogo Dalot start for Manchester United. The horses for courses rule was expected to be applied at Newcastle, as Dalot had struggled against the tricky Alan Saint-Maximin in the Carabao Cup final in February, but Erik Ten Hag stuck by him and provided him with a start instead. Although he's failed to reproduce his early season form throughout 2023, Dalot is still considered the first-choice right-back at the club, but that position has been threatened by Aaron Wan-Bissaka enjoying an impressive renaissance. Dalot's performance against Newcastle at Wembley, a game in which he hooked at halftime after being yellow-carded for a clumsy challenge on Saint-Maximin, was fresh in the memory, but it wasn't enough for him to stay on the bench. Before the international break, Wan-Bissaka started the last 3 games, and yet Dalot returned to the starting lineup against Newcastle, which seemed inadvisable considering Saint-Maximin forced him to be substituted in the final. Of course, United were defeated 2-0 at St James Park, and the manner of the performances was particularly disappointing, but in fairness to Dalot, he did not have the same difficulty up against Saint-Maximin the second time around. He retained his starting role against Brentford in midweek, and he's set for a third consecutive start against Everton on Saturday afternoon, something which Wan-Bissaka had the luxury of prior to the international break. Wan-Bissaka's days at the club were numbered last year. Ten Hag informed him he could leave at the end of last season, but a once unlikely battle between himself and Dalot has developed since the resumption of football after the World Cup. Ten Hag was asked about the battle between the pair last week and said, "I think it's really close, the competition between them. Maybe Aaron Wan-Bissaka gives you a little bit more defending, Diogo Dalot gives you maybe a little more offense. But I have to say I think they both have made progress in both areas, so it's really close. You look at the opponent, you look at the load on the players, and you have to manage that when you have 2 almost equal players. Then the form they are in is also an issue, and then, of course, how is the team doing in the moment? Then you make your decisions." It was reassuring for supporters to hear Ten Hag confirm what they have long thought about Dalot and Wan-Bissaka. The players have different strengths and weaknesses, and they suit different games, depending on who the opposition is. However, Dalot provides more in attack, and if he can sharpen his defensive game again, he'll win the war at right back. You are ultimately left behind in the modern-day game without an attacking fullback, and that's why Wan-Bissaka regressed. Everton visit Old Trafford on Saturday, and they will play like a typical Sean Dyche side. They will play deep, they'll be well organized, and will be difficult to break down, and that is the type of scenario when Dalot is more likely to start. Dalot was brilliant earlier in the season. He was arguably the best right-back in the Premier League, and, if he delivers a few statement performances, the conversation about Wan-Bissaka taking his starting role will gradually disappear. That is Dalot's challenge for the remainder of the season, and it starts against Everton.